The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
It is the playoff post-game edition of the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show. We waited all year for this. What's up, everybody? If you're new to the channel, I'm Rob. He's Ryan. we waited all year for this. And, I mean, do you want to go? Like, I don't know. That was about as bad as you could get for a game one to start the series. There are a lot of different ways we could dissect this and talk about this. But, I mean, you go down early, a couple goals early, 3-0 at the end of the first period. Keefe looks over his skis compared to Cooper. Samsonov had his worst game of the season. Like, I don't remember him being that bad in any regular season game. The bottom six gets completely outclassed by the Lightning bottom six. I thought the second line of O'Reilly, Tavares, and Nylander was their best line. And Matthews, Marner, Bunting. Once again, like I thought Matthews had some good looks in and around the net tonight. But again, against an opponent that plays a specific style that takes away time and space, those guys just can't produce and create. And over to you.
Yeah, I'm ready to throw. I'm throwing this game in the garbage right away. I'm ready to move on. That first period was just awful.
Yeah, it's as bad. It's as bad as it gets.
Like that was brutal. Like you come out, you play like it. Just the Lightning look relaxed. They looked uptight. They went down early, and even though they came back in the second and made it 3-2, once they went down 3-0, I kind of thought it was a wrap. The second period, they come out. One positive is they did capitalize on some power plays, and that's something that's going to be a big factor in them winning any sort of series. So that's a positive, and they start to gain a little bit of momentum, and then the officiating wasn't great.
The officiating is a massive story, and I've said it. Anyone who's listened to us before, anyone who's new, as I said earlier off the top, you and I are not huge blame the ref guys, but they
were not.
You can't.
Good.
Yeah. The penalty call on Luke Shen, the phantom slash on David Kampf. It's awful.
Yeah, it just seems like when these two teams play, there's something happens to the officials where it just, I don't know, the penalty calls were a little sus, but I mean, if you really just throw this game out in the garbage, it's game one. If you look back over their past 6 playoff runs, they lost to Boston in game one in 2018. They lost game one against Columbus. They lost game one against the Habs. And then last year, they looked like the best team ever assembled in game one and winning 5-0 over the Lightning. So at the end of the day, it is game one, but you do have to look at some concerns going into game two. And I think numero uno is the goaltending.
I would say my two main concerns coming out of this game are, number one, yes, Ilya Samsonov, without question, the biggest concern. And number two, Jon Cooper walks around with a little itty bitty Sheldon Keefe in the palm of his hand at all times. I thought they started the game. Sheldon Keefe, he starts with the second line, then he immediately puts the David Kampf line out there, and he's just obsessed with line matching, and he's doing his trademark Sheldon Keefe galaxy braining. Cooper knows he's going to do it. It's like Jon Cooper is playing chess while Sheldon Keefe is playing checkers. And it's like, put your offensive pieces out there. Stop worrying about line matching like to the nth degree. I don't know,
but the line
man.
matching got thrown out the window immediately. Like, as soon as the game started, Chris Cuthbert and Craig Simpson were just all over the line matching and how it was going to be a big old mind game. And then they go down 1-0 and all that went out the window. The problem with line matching in hockey is it only works when you have a line that is actually effective. David Kampf, like, he's been a pretty decent Maple Leaf, but I wouldn't exactly call him a matchup nightmare. He's a mediocre center iceman who has the reputation of being defensively responsible, but at the end of the day, he's just an extremely mediocre hockey player. And
that line got
that shut down line. Like, so the line matching went out the window pretty quickly.
For the fuss we made about the bottom six, I thought that the Tampa bottom six outclassed the Leafs bottom six.
You talk about Jon Cooper having them in the palm of his hand. Corey Perry has the Leafs in the palm of his hand. Like,
Leaf killer.
Like, he comes out immediately, and who's the most effective player on the ice immediately? Corey Perry. That's frustrating. That's extremely frustrating to watch.
And Mike Bunting has his Nazem Kadri moment in this game and will likely not be available for game 2, potentially game 3, depending on how harsh they want to be. Your thoughts on the hit? I saw a lot of people on Twitter disputing that it was a dirty hit. He got him right in the head, and
it was dirty.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't mind that stretch in the second. It was weird. It's like they started getting momentum. McCabe laid him out, and it's almost like if McCabe actually dropped the gloves with Paul, then the David Kampf slash never would have happened. But as soon as that slash happened, it was just back to the game being over. They capitalized on the power play, and then it's a wrap at that point.
Yeah, they came out to start the second, and they get the 2 power play goals, and the Nylander one, like, it's like, okay, it's 3-2 now. We're back in this. And, yeah, the penalty call on Luke Shen, the penalty call on Kampf, and, like, yeah, it's Samsonov.
Sucked, man.
Yeah, you looked at me and said you might consider going to Joe Wall for game 2.
You don't feel good at all after that. Like, I know that's a nice little story, Joe Wall having a good little run in the regular season, but at the end of the day, he's still Joe Wall. He's barely played in the NHL. I mean, this was a concern, and Samsonov did have a good season, so you kind of pictured Jack Campbell, and you were like, you know what, Jack wasn't someone I had a lot of confidence in either, but he always kind of showed up and did the job that was necessary. So, yeah, like, the goaltending was the concern from the start, and it reared its head tonight. He was not good. He looked uncomfortable. He was giving up rebounds, even though there should be no second chance opportunity that came as clean as the Lightning had. Like, you got to be in there taking your man. Like, come on. But it's just that is the biggest concern going into game 2. It's like, do they overreact and go with a guy who's barely playing in the NHL, or do they just hope that Samsonov comes back? And
I think based on the season he had, you go back to him to start game 2, and he's on a shorter leash. And if he stinks again, then you got no choice but to go to Joe Wall.
Well, no matter what, it's just there's no solution to the problem. Like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Like we know who's in the net for the Lightning, no matter what. Right now, like, we have Leaf fans questioning their top goalie and want to put in an American Hockey League goaltender. Like, it's really not a good situation. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's game 1. I'm trying so hard. You're watching that game. You have your little spazzy moments where you just want to kind of just throw it all out the window. But I mean, they come back, they win game 2, and it's all square. But I mean, you don't love losing game 1 because you can go down quick if they come out next game and don't play well.
Ryan O'Reilly's diagnosis of the game here from Twitter is thinking too much. And I would agree with that, particularly in the first period. You know, we've come on here in the past after playoff games, and me particularly, I've thrown spazzes. Like, you look to the Montreal series a couple of years ago and me screaming my head off for 20 minutes. And you know what? I'm not going to do that this year. I've been in the days leading up to this series, I've been sitting back and I'm going, I'm just going to sit back and watch how this plays out, because it's put up or shut up. Like, if they can't win this series, then they don't have it. They just don't have it.
Yeah.
They don't have the fortitude. I tweeted at the end of the first period, you know, the mental fragility. And you can bring in the Ryan O'Reillys, you can bring in the Nola Charis, you can bring in the Luke Shens, you can bring in whoever you want, Sam Lafferty. But at the end of the day, the core of this team is still the core. And these guys are the guys that are going to have to get over the hump. And if they can't win this series, then this group, as currently constituted, Just doesn't have it. So I'm not going to overreact. I'm with you. Burn the tape, throw it out, come back in 2 days. As you said, we've all seen what has happened in game ones in the past. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and it is what it is. It's put up or shut up. That's basically where I'm at.
For everyone on TikTok or YouTube calling us negative, well, let's leave the negatives alone and look at the positives. The power play capitalizing in the point of the game where they actually could have came back and made a game out of it. Capitalizing on 2 power play goals in the second period, that's a positive. That is something that this team has struggled with playoff series after playoff series, is capitalizing on the power play when they get their chances, because you have to in the playoffs. So that's a positive. Another positive, I did like, even though some of those hits might have been dirty, I did like
not
the little
pushback.
Yeah.
Not getting pushed around.
Like Michael Bunting,
Yep.
He has no one to answer to. Like, that's what I like about the Lightning. It's like they kind of asserted their dominance there for a hot minute, and then it got out of hand. But I don't know, man.
Do you think that they should consider, I don't know how much it'll do. I don't know how much this works behind the scenes, but if I'm Brendan Shanahan, I'm picking up the phone and I'm giving Gary a call and I'm saying, can we speak to Wes? Like, can you phone Wes and say, Wes, let these guys play hockey? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good at all.
No.
And it's like you can criticize Matthews and Marner for not being as effective as they would have liked to have been, but you made the right point. Like, they weren't on the ice in the second period because the Leafs are constantly in the penalty box.
Yeah,
it's just,
well, you got to look at it too. Like, what's going to happen with Victor Hedman?
Yep, that's a huge story coming out of this.
What's
game.
going to happen with Victor Hedman? Eric Chernak, also a very important piece of this hockey team. Hate to see you go down because of a dirty elbow, but I mean, what's his status going to be? Like, that's something that could take a toll on this hockey club that already is short on D-men.
What would you like to see from the top guys going forward, specifically Matthews and Marner?
Well, obviously you want to see them play better and contribute offensively, but just the whole team didn't start on time. Like, quote unquote, everyone's favorite quote in the world, start on time. They did not do that. They were awful.
Do you blame the coach for that? Is that the coach's responsibility?
No, I'm sorry. It's not. Yeah, you can get the boys ready, but at the end of the day, these guys, they've been in this situation for 7 straight years.
I talked about it. I talked about it all year, man. I said the demons in these guys' heads, like their mental psyche. It's so, like, think of the most breakable object you've ever held in your life and how careful you have to be with it. That is the core four's mental fragility, and throw Morgan Riley in there too when it comes to the playoffs. Man. And
yeah, they need to start on time. I don't care who's behind the bench. You can't come out.
No, it does matter, Ryan. It does matter when he starts.
So long, and this is their 7th year in the playoffs. They're tied for the longest streak of making the playoffs. You've been in this situation. You lose every year. You got to be better to start this game. Like that. I'm sorry. I don't care if Scotty Bowman's behind the bench. You got to be better.
So from a motivation perspective, I agree with you. You guys are professionals. You're grown-ass men. Figure it out. Totally agree. But it does impact when you're galaxy braining line matchups. And it does impact when the other coach is, like, visibly smarter than you. It is. He is visibly smarter than Sheldon Keefe. Jon Cooper already has a giant chip on his shoulder. That guy must literally sit there and chuckle. Like, he's in the media today being like, I told Sheldon last year, at the end of the series, I said, Sheldon, don't change a thing. It's like, yeah, don't change a thing because I own you, bitch. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
He does this. Sheldon Keefe is eating out of the palm of Jon Cooper's hand. It's just.
It's tough. It's emotional, man. Like,
it is.
It's.
No, but I do think that we're coming at it from a level-headed perspective.
No, but even during this episode, like, usually this season we've stayed away from post-game shows.
Yes.
We've done mostly days where they're not playing because it's hard to come on here after watching them and you're tired. You've just watched it. Your opinions aren't formulated. I'm finding that right now. Like, this is the first post-game show we've done in a long time. That was a very emotional playoff game, followed up by the most boring ending to a playoff game I've ever watched in my life.
The third period was
I'm
a struggle.
emotionally drained. Like it's emotionally draining, and you're just sitting here and you're trying to just block all the negative thoughts out of your head, and you're just trying to throw it all out, think of the positives, but the negativity creeps in, and it's just hard to formulate a great take after going on that roller coaster ride. Like it's this team is just, oh man, and my phone's just blowing up.
I think the power play is a
trolling.
great take. I think the power play is a great take. I think that like looking at the success of the power play is that is something that you can hang your hat on. And if I'm Sheldon, everyone like burn that. And this is where you need a guy like Ryan O'Reilly in that room to step up and look, because these guys can't do it, man. Like they can't. The guys who have already been here, like I said, they're so mentally fragile. This is where you need a guy like Ryan O'Reilly. He doesn't have any of the baggage to stand up in that room and go, listen, fellas, like we cannot start game 2 the way we started tonight. We gotta burn the tape on this one, and we gotta come back, and it's a new game, and they need Samsonov. I don't know what the hell he has to do, but like go home, meditate. I don't know, have a nap. I don't know. Figure out how to get your game back for game 2, and everyone else, forget about it. Put it out of your mind. Remind yourselves what happened in game 1 last year, and come back for game 2, ready and refreshed.
Like the Lightning didn't even have a roster by the end of that game.
No,
they had half a team on the ice.
It was all wrong from the start. Like the Lightning. The toughest thing the Leafs are going to have to overcome in this series is the mental aspect of it. The Tampa Bay Lightning are playing with house money. If I'm Jon Cooper, I'm in that room and I'm going, guys, we got nothing to lose here. If we lose this series, everyone will just go, oh, 3 straight cup finals. They're exhausted. It was going to catch up to them sometime. So it is what it is. If that team over there loses this series, their whole organization's going to get blown up. Their general manager's on a bird to Pittsburgh, and that's the end of that. And they're bringing in some other guy here who's going to blow up the core 4. And the game started. That's what it looked like when the game started. The Lightning were loose. They were playing their game. They were dominating. The Lightning put on a clinic tonight and collapsing on the Leafs when the Leafs were trying to get out of their own zone. Could never get every zone exit from the Leafs was like a battle that they had to like chip through the Lightning defenders, or the forecheckers rather, and then go into the Lightning zone. It's just, and the Leafs are tense. They're holding their sticks. They're like
Zach Aston Reese.
Zach Aston. We haven't even talked about that. Zach Aston Reese. God, thanks for coming out, Czar. Like also this. You know, he's a young kid, and the emotion could be overwhelming for him. Okay, cool. So he's going to do, like, what's the worst that can happen? He's going to throw a pizza up the middle like Zach Aston Reese did 2 minutes into the game?
That ship's already sailed.
Yeah, it's like Matthew Nyes is going to be that much worse than Zach Aston Reese? Ugh.
It's not.
Look at me. Look, rewind to 10 minutes ago when I'm like, I'm not going to get too emotional.
Yeah.
Here. I'm not going to get too emotional. But, man.
It's hard, man. Like, like my phone is blowing up. It's just people cannot handle this anymore. And it's just, you got the trolls who don't really love the team, but they're tuning in for the playoffs and they love just trolling you. And then you have the people like us who want to see them do well, but still want to be grounded in our opinions. But it's just, that was an emotional roller coaster, that game. They were awful right off the bat. They come out in the second, they give you hope. The game gets a little chippy. Your adrenaline is pumping. Your heart rate is up. And then in the third period, it was just
boring. Just like watching paint dry.
It was like
that second period was the most.
It was like watching golf.
That second period was the most unhinged period of hockey I've ever seen. Like just. And then the bizarre goal that
got
you couldn't really
5
see.
times.
Yeah, you couldn't really see if it went over the goal line. And it looked like it didn't go over the goal line. And then Sheldon Keefe challenges it for goalie interference, and he loses the challenge. So then they get another penalty, and it's like, my God.
Yeah, that was. Now that I'm reflecting on it more, it's
unhinged is the word I'm using for that second period.
That was just the most up and down, emotional hockey game. And oh my God! Like,
all right, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna end this post-game show on a note of burn the tape. Everybody get your heads right. Go home, look in the mirror, decide to yourself, we are not going to start game 2 the way we started game 1. Ilya Samsonov has to get his game together, and somebody has to, Kyle, your job is on the line, my guy. Go into Sheldon's office and go, stop. You're going to get us both fired.
That's it.
Thanks, everyone, for checking us out. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button below. We will be back after every single Maple Leafs postgame, so you don't want to miss that. So as I said, hit the like and subscribe button below. Also, if you're listening to the audio version, leave a 5-star review and a comment. Every little bit helps.
Spread the word. Tell your friends.
We really appreciate it. We will see you guys after game 2.